Hello, folks. Welcome back to day 2 of season 3 for the CCL. My name is McCormiel. Alongside me is Proper Cast, and we are looking finally to get into our Concord Maroon matchup versus Penn State University. But again, if you guys were not here for the first 2 games, it was OSU who took down Liberty University in a 3-1 fashion, followed by UTK Orange besting out Mississippi State Maroon in a 3-0 sweep to start off our Alpha stream. Folks, this is the final match on the Alpha stream here for week number 1 of the CCL. However, it's going to be kicked off and finished off with a banger because Concord Maroon and Penn State is going to be a barn burner to watch for, one for the ages Proper.
Absolutely. If you're here for CCL, you've got to be a big Concord Maroon fan at this point. I mean, again, back-to-back kickoff winners with the Modern Warfare season, now the beginning of Cold War, and also the Black Ops 4 throwback winners as well. But we've waited long enough for cornmeal. Now it's time to finally hop inside of this Northeast Conference Atlantic Region A Division match. Concord Maroon versus Penn State. Going to be starting off here on Garrison Hardpoint.
Running towards middle. Trauma will go ahead and find the first blood here in the map. Crooked around the corner. Won't be able to find the shots, but should be getting the kill there. But no, it is going to be Senso taking out Crooked. So now with 2 players from Penn State finding the kills there onto the Maroon players, it is going to be hill time for the side of Concord Maroon, at least for the time being. You're going to see Trauma here just trying to play the peak spot over towards top green and playing a little bit cheeky here in the first hill. But so far, in terms of slaying, it's been all Penn State thus far.
Has been, yeah. I mean, they win the opening gunfight. That's until Trauma and Red Chase has come right back in. Double AR setup for them so far is going to garner them a handful of kills, and those are good kills, keep in mind you, because now look at just the mini-map and how the control is starting to shift in the favor for Concord Maroon. But back and forth we go. Now we're going to be looking for a rotation over towards New if you are Penn State. Already got Crooked over here. Is going to be able to turn the corner. There's Shades, has another engagement in front of him, but just has to keep their life in Trauma. Trying to block the spawns against Penn State is going to be an easy setup for Concord Maroon ahead P2.
Yeah, and Penn State did what they needed to do there. They got the rest of the time there on P1, even though they don't get those rotations to P2. Look at how far apart Concord Maroon is able to, spread around the map here to try and suffocate all the Penn State players who are trying to push this hill. But Senso will be cut out. He will be he'll be called out by his teammate Crooked, and the rest of the players in the middle map now going to be looking for maybe an entry pick here. But as Crooked goes ahead, finds those early shots, he'll be able to pick up 5 in a row here thus far after starting 0-2 on the map. He's popping off here when his team needs him the most. Red Chase in the AR was playing back over towards the top, and we saw Red Chase really just be this dominant AR player for the side of Concord Maroon inside of that first kickoff tournament of the season. What do you expect from him here inside of the series as we continue to pop through this hard point?
But hey, look, I've said this a lot about a few teams, especially coming off the kickoff tournaments. The one thing that a lot of teams don't have, they don't have a Red Chase. And just Red Chase is just one of those players, if you watched all throughout the Modern Warfare year, had a very slow regular season. It's very hard to be able to match the SMG presence that was Concord Maroon last season. But I mean, Red Chase towards the end in the playoffs just absolutely snapped. And from there on out, and ahead of this game, been able to see how comfortable they truly are in this role. I mean, it helps things out here on the Garrison Hardpoint when you got Crooked at 7-2, Trauma at 6-2 as well. But still have a little bit more work to do as far as closing this map out and feeling comfortable, because these hills can get pretty swingy when it comes down to the setups. And Penn State is back here with the nearest spawns. That's until Concord Maroon trying to break things in through the front end there in the back.
Yeah, it was a great play coming all the way through that hangar side to get those spawns eventually, and I loved how Trauma played his life in the back on a 4 streak, paired up with his 8 streak from his teammate in Crooked. Again, he has not died since that P1 break over towards P2, and as he looks for 9, he'll be able to go ahead and do so. The rest of his teammates will spawn up over towards his backside of the hill, but now continuing to just hold map presence around middle map. It is going to be Penn State. They'll break in for potentially a little bit of scrap time here, and a great 2-piece there from Ken. Well, it should give them the rest of the scrap time here, pending a Concord Maroon push back in towards the hard point. But as we look over towards the next rotation over towards P4 in the Trash Hill, it's going to be a huge one-on-one gunfight between 6 and 4, which Trauma will come out on top of. He's on a 5 streak trying to best his teammates 9.
Yeah, and while you were saying that Penn State were supposed to feel comfortable with the back scrap time, 2 spawns came through for Concord Maroon, and that then gave them catwalk control and top green, where Trauma finds themselves now, finds the first. He's out of 20 HP, he's trying to reset the gunfight, but the regen won't come through in time. Shades puts it with Diamati, and now they find themselves in a really good spot while you have Senso trying to soak up the time, but Semtexes get traded out. Shades ends up going down after Megatron finds a well-placed Semtex from their end, but still, Penn State White doing a good job through the past 2 hills, being able to upset the setup that Concord Maroon were looking for, and they're going to put some notable time on the board here.
coming into this match, it was two players, Crook and Trauma, who we thought were going to be the key determining factors for Concord Maroon against this Penn State roster, and thus far, it has continued to prove well and true. 11-5 for Crook, 12-4 now for Trauma, make it 13-4 for Trauma as he picks up a two-piece with that M4. So hill control for the final 10 seconds for Concord Maroon. The rotational spawns now for Penn State's side of things, as it is going to be looking over towards P5 to maybe pick up a little bit of time here, get themselves back into the game. They're only down by about 40 points here proper, so a lot of time to work with here, especially if Megatron does get picked off here over towards Lights.
Yeah, this solo SMG setup for Concord Maroon has just been able to really be a sensational part of their success. I mean, you got Crook going on a tear like you were talking about, 12-7 now, 15-5 for the flex player of Trauma, and then Megatron can also pick up a sub when need be, but the way that it's working is that they're just always aware of where they need to be as far as fighting the rotation against Penn State, and doing a good job at that, especially ahead of the openings of P2 and especially, well, previously inside P3 into P4. They're not without the break potential that Penn State's been able to showcase here with the initial time of, or the back end of P5.
Kill there for Megatron on this hill. Again, both teams really just vying for a lot of scrap time right now. We saw Penn State pick up about 20 seconds at the very beginning of this point. They're only going to be able to get about 25 to 30 seconds in total on this point as well. So even though those early rotations do come in, it kind of became a scrap hill as it went down the stretch. So Ken up top on the bridge with bridge control. We talked about that before the game started as well, and how important it was to have that top bridge control. But usually you see the top bridge players with an AR. It won't matter for Ken though, because he's got help now over towards top green. Potentially an opportunity for a trade there for his teammate. Trauma's able to pick up two, almost able to pick up a third one up on top of the bridge as well. So with 40 seconds left over towards P1, top green and bridge control once again for the side of Penn State. But look at player number 1 in red chase. Hopefully he doesn't push it too far up the map here after he gets that first kill. So we might potentially spawn his teammates across the map, and that's exactly what will happen. Look at player number 2. He's now going to be pushing over towards Tools. However, they'll get a split spawn with players number 1 and 4 spawning over towards P2.
Yeah, this is going to come down to a big moment from Senso, and I think that shades on the back part of the satellite ended up reading that Concord Maroon were poking out towards the ramp side, so they are aware that Concord Maroon are now going to be spawning closer to P2, and all 4 members are over here. Coming in through the brick side, Megatron turns and is able to take down Senso. It's a 2-for-1 trade within Concord Maroon's favor, and they're going to be able to have numbers here to be able to overwhelm Penn State for the initial time of P2.
By about 30 seconds now, Penn State with their first lead of this hard point thus far. Concord Maroon looking to go ahead and even up the score and potentially even go ahead and pull back out in front as they were in the beginning of this hard point as well. So 29 here on another 2 streak, 5 between Crook and Trauma once again. And again, this duo is showing out so hard here for this team. I mean, you look at the discrepancy on the scoreboard right now between these players, and although a lot of teammates' help comes through, you got Crook with 1:05 and Hill on a 5 streak, 17-11, Trauma with 20-10. I mean, it's hard not to keep going back to the scoreboard to see both of these two players and just how well they're doing inside of this first map, and it's going to tell the story of how the series is going to go if they can continue to play like this throughout the entirety of not just this first hard point, but the S&D as well. That's
number 8 for Crook. Again, was previously on another big spree a few lives ago, is now on an 8, just trying to finesse, keep their life, plays on top of the box, will drop down. It's going to lose it, but just, my goodness, I mean, just the SMG presence of Crook is just so overwhelming in certain instances of time. Now, this is still a very competitive hardpoint, keep in mind you. Again, only 2 seconds in between these two teams ahead of P3, but Concord Maroon getting knocked off in that previous engagement, going to be feeling okay with their closer spawns. They're going to try to go for a setup, already finding a handful of kills as well. So Penn State White down in numbers, going to still try to hit this while the rest of the reinforcements work through the middle of the map.
Number 4 in the back is huge there, although he does get help from his teammates. Not only does he play over towards that garage, which continues to give them those back spawns for P3, it also spawns and forces Penn State to come all the way through Lights and back through middle map and into the lines of sight for Red Chase here. And although he'll get killed by a Semtex, it's only going to be 1 player in Senso pushing up the map. It's going to be a 1 versus 4 gunfight here over towards this point, waiting for his teammates to maybe push up a little bit further. However, he gets a bit overzealous on the chow, but now it's 2 fall down, make it 3 down for the side of Concord Maroon. And even though they spawn in the back, Penn State get a much needed break there. They force Concord Maroon all the way back into their spawn, so an opportunity for them to maybe get a little bit of time here over towards the next P4 hill, and maybe get about 10 to 15 seconds uncontested if they can win these initial gunfights over towards this next point.
Ken's in a terrible position right now, needs the communication that this is not where Concord Maroon are coming from. Is now the last player alive. Might just try to touch the hill for a little bit of time until Penn State White can get some reinforcements over here, but Concord Maroon just bursting off the scene of P3 towards the middle of the map. They absolutely engulf the entire minimap in red, and they're looking like in a great spot to try to flip spawns out. They absolutely do so. So now Concord Maroon, they have top green control, and they're in a great spot to try to soak up a little bit of time here.
Shades over towards top caution. Now the contest does come through. It is going to be Crooked up top on the floating tank that's going to be able to find one. His teammate in Megatron picks up the second one as well, and Shades looks to get a kill, but no, it's going to be Crooked once again who does pick that up. So now looking for the third one in a row. That's going to be himself. No, sorry, make it 5. It was just a triple kill on screen, so a minute and 56, and Hill somehow escapes with his life once again. However, now it's going to be Red Chase looking to go ahead and find himself on a streak, as he's got himself 5 in a row. That's 3 different players from the side of Concord Maroon who all have above 6 streaks inside of this first hardpoint.
Absolutely insane. I mean, again, like you talked about, Red Chase is on a 6 spree. This player can absolutely snap. And behind them, just try to hold the angle. That spree will go down, but that's going to pick up. Trauma's 4 spree just ended now at 29 and 14, 26 and 15 for Crook, who has just been like absolutely crazy. Just a twisted movement coming out of Crook right now. Being able to drop down and find 1 kill. It's going to be 27 and 15, but ahead of the P5 setup, Concord Maroon, they're looking to absolutely close this game out here now that they have Penn State White trapped over by a spawn.
3 players now making 4, trying to push out from spawns, but it's going to be Trauma who picks up that first player. What this is going to allow is Crook to go ahead and push up into the spawn as well, and allow for the side of Concord Maroon just to set up in these great power positions. Look at Megatron, just such a cheeky little angle here. Again, we talk about these ratty spots, and as one pushes in, he'll actually be cut down. So unfortunate there, they don't get that final ticket time on the point, but as he slides over towards the point, that'll be it. That'll do it. Concord Maroon 250 to 153, and you know, for the very beginning of that hard point all the way through the midpoint proper, that again, we said it multiple times, it was a very closely contested hard point, and at the very end there, it is Garrison, so it's always the opportunity to, you know, string those hills together for potential 50 to 60 seconds of time on each and every one of them. But it really just came to all the players from Concord Maroon just starting to go around the map in unison and kind of heat up, catch that fire, light the spark under themselves, and they get it done. Map number 1, they take it 1-0 as we get ready for the S&D.
Especially on that second set of hills too, and even towards the bitter end of that entire hard point. I mean, they, for Concord Maroon, just like you said, just started stacking up on top of each other. They started playing for more of their trades, upon which the space was being set up by Crook. The other ARs from Concord Maroon were just kind of waltzing on by together. I have one player just looking towards the middle of the map, just making sure that they always had that cross angle set up. But I mean, it was just how well they do work in unison. And that's what you are going to get with this team of Concord Maroon. Again, these 4 individuals have been playing Call of Duty through about 2 seasons now together, and they have been more than comfortable enough being able to work a map. I mean, Penn State University, again, this is a returning team from last season, their core 4, where they had a very good playoff run. But as far as hardpoint is concerned, it just was not able to keep up with the pace that was being set up by Concord Maroon. So now they're hoping to hit the regain here in the Moscow Search and Destroy.
Yeah, and it really all came down to that P3 Search and Destroy on that second set of rotations. You already touched on that beforehand, but really on that P3, when they held down that first initial push from the side of Penn State through the hangar side of the map and were able to keep themselves all the way in the back, even though Penn State was able to push up and contest for about 10 seconds at a time there at the very end of that point, it was Concord Maroon who then was able to flip around the spawns, get top green control, hold down the entirety of P4, and then at the end of the game, it was basically too little too late. They got between both of those 2 hard points, rotated on over towards that last hill, over towards P5, and we're able to finish it off there while getting Penn State in a spawn trap. So again, it came down to the 2 players kind of catching fire besides Trauma and Crooked there, and Red Chase and Megatron to kind of spark themselves along the map. But again, going into the Search and Destroy here, we saw Concord Maroon inside of the Kickoff Classic, and of course we do know that they are a good S&D team. However, that is the one mode that they kind of wavered in the most in terms of playing together as a cohesive unit around the map. So if we are going to be talking about one map specifically that I think Penn State could steal from Concord Maroon, I do think it could be this Moscow Search and Destroy. However, it's going to all depend on, you know, those first couple of rounds, if it does go in Penn State's favor or if they fall behind early, because if Concord Maroon gets off to an early start, I don't think they lose it.
Yeah, but also on the same point in time, the one big woe that comes from the Search and Destroy, at least what I saw from the Kickoff Classic from this Concord Maroon squad, is when these players start feeling themselves, man, do they feel like the gun is a little bit warmer than where it possibly may need to be. I mean, through certain instances, you'll probably see them overextend, and if you can't find that 1 kill, this isn't 5v5 anymore. You're not going to have that other player to be able to try to double on down. You leave your team in a 3v4. That's one less lane. That's one less angle that you're not going to have covered for yourself when you're both trying to take a site for offense or retake it for defense. And that's the one thing that Concord Maroon really find themselves doing as far as Search and Destroy is concerned, that Penn State University will have to try their best to take advantage of.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be able to find out very, very soon. Of course, the A and the B side, we always talk about it, how the B side is becoming a little bit more viable here as teams continue to learn how to play these maps. It's the same thing with a map like Miami, where the A side becomes a little bit more viable. Obviously, the AS&D site is going to be the preferred bomb site, which we'll see a lot of teams make that initial push towards. But if we do see a bunch of teams kind of push through middle map, especially Concord Maroon early on, if they do get that early map control and push through middle map, obviously you have the rotation out through Eskies, or you can get out and push through checkers, fly out over towards that B statue side, over towards the boulevard to get into the B building. And once you get kind of past that halfway mark on the map with no contention from the defensive side, getting into that B building and holding it down is relatively easy, and especially with all the kind of rats, corners, and spots that you can play in with the rest of your team in a post-plant push, you know, it's going to be difficult to retake that B site, which is why I think a lot of teams are now starting to prioritize B over A in some rounds, because they know that if you know, a team is expecting an A push, they're going to send 2 to 3 players there, and maybe a player to middle map to watch the rotation through. But if they can get over towards the B building, even if it's just the bomb carrier and one teammate getting in towards the B building to get that bomb down, that's going to allow for instantaneous trades, and as well as the rest of the teammates to hold down middle map to watch the rotation either from Eskies or back around through the police department and P2 side.
Yeah, and again, I mean, there's one less fear that you have on the B Boulevard as an offensive team trying to push that, and that's a sniper coming out of police station from the spawn from the offensive team. One less boomstick that you got to be concerned with, as them and Smokes are both out of the question. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the BS and D side has really been a little bit more of a more hit than not comparatively to where it was at the beginning of the season for Cold War. Again, you can find yourself an advantage just gunning players left, right, and center over by the A site, but you come through that through the gold alleyway while looking up escalators. Be wary of that cutout wall, and while you're pushing over towards Globe, ARs in tow, you could definitely take that site by storm. And like to talk about, the post plan can absolutely be absurd.
Yeah, well, you talked about no snipers. How about no smokes? If you are the offensive team, we talked about how easy it is to push up their middle map to win that first gunfight, but if you are the defensive team here, you actually do have a slight advantage now if you do send someone over towards B Street, because if you just play that statue, say you put a Krig on that outer B Street to watch over middle map, you instantaneously have all the intelligence, all the intel in the world to say, hey, the players are pushing through middle map, they're either going checkers or they're coming out to myself. And if you get that really, really nice head glitch to where you only have basically a pixel of your head showing, but your entire gun can see all of the players that are coming through middle map, without that smoke to cut that cross off from that AR player, they can beam you and get that first pick extremely easily. So teams need to be cautious, need to be wary if they are going to be pushing through middle map or over towards B, that they take down that AR player first, and especially the player that's on that cutout wall. So ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Moscow search and destroy. Both of these two teams looking to go ahead and find themselves a map win, but more importantly, Penn State is looking to bring themselves back here inside of game number 2 to tie this series up 1-1.
Now, you don't want to be on the cusp of having to reverse sweep a red-hot Concord Maroon. So the offense will be Penn State's White's first go-ahead of things. Krig 6 in the hands of Shades, looking like they want to hit through the middle of the map, break inside the B site, but, well, Concord Maroon, they have this set up.
Eskies back over towards A. Megatron will be able to find a couple of shots there on the tape, but now it's going to be crooked in middle map, and, well, that's a quick round proper. A very quick round indeed for Concord Maroon. And you know, it all comes down to getting those first bloods inside of the round. If you are going to be able to play aggressive up through middle map, you see Flicker being able to find one there on the shields, and then comes around the corner, finds the second one there on the taste at the end of the round. Easy kills like that with their teammates being able to tag up a couple of shots onto those players are going to allow you to dominate the map. And again, Penn State, even though they did play relatively aggressive that side, Concord Maroon, they just they counter aggression with aggression so well. They fight that fire with fire, and they are easily able to take that round number 1.
Flawless sweep on that first run, too. No deaths to speak of its nature for Concord Maroon now for their offense. Actually going to hit this all the way through gold and looking for a potential opening pick or just an avenue to hit through the boulevard side. And I think Shades did end up seeing this. They did. Yeah, they're going to be good for the first kill, but that's going to be a trade in response coming out of Trauma's XM4.
Megatron killed in the back. Stays with the rest of his 2 teammates still alive. It's going to be a 2 versus 3. Good news for Concord Maroon is that they do have bomb in tow. So wrapping over towards A, this is actually going to be a completely free plant for the side of Concord Maroon, as you do see players now making this rotation over. The only player that could potentially get here in time to maybe stop this a little bit is going to be player number 4, but you see Red Chase. Oh, he's going to get gunned there up close by the 74U. Trauma, who's pushing up, needs to be wary of the last couple of players pushing out through that back side of P2, but Trauma will be able to escape with his life for now. Pre-aims that left side, is able to find that first kill, escapes with his life over towards the docks. Oh, I love this play here. Sneaks out of bounds there, runs back up the staircase, isn't able to find those kills. So Penn State, although they did give up that free plant over towards the AS&D site, they rotate back. They're able to win that 3 versus 2. That is relatively very easy. Of course, in the 3 versus 2, you should be winning those every single time, but we've seen a lot of teams falter in that regard too. So a good round for Penn State to get themselves on the board here, especially after the lack of anything that we saw from the last, basically, I'd say 25% of that hard point.
Yeah, and that was just a heads-up play again in a 2v1. You just double on down together, kind of just clear out any nooks and crannies to where Trauma could have been located at. Just go ahead and just get that clean kill, and for the defuse, putting themselves on the board here. For round number 3, we go for Penn State's White's second attempt at an offense. They try to hit it through the courtyard last time around and was just caught up in so many different crossfires, to speak the name of between 3 members of Concord Maroon. Now looking for an A hit. Going to be 2 players. Your bomb being carried by Senso again. Going to be clearing out escalators. Have a trophy system this time around so that way they can keep themselves safe from some Texas.
Bomb pushed up. Senso with it. A very slow push over towards A after the very aggressive initial push. There's going to be a player now sliding over towards Eskies, and I believe maybe someone in maps will see him. And that's actually going to be Megatron getting beamed by the M4. That headshot multiplier coming through there for Taze helps him get that first pick inside of the round. So now on a 4 versus 3, he's going to be able to escape with his life once again over towards that bottom dock side. Crook will find the trade, but Taze is there once again with the help of Shades. This bomb should be going down over towards A with Trauma left alive, and a 1 versus 3 won't be able to do so. Another great round for Penn State, this time on the offensive side, and that's exactly what you need to see from Penn State in a search and destroy, is winning an offensive round early and being able to take control of a dominant bomb site, especially with a team that's stacked there with at least 3 bodies.
Yeah, and I love just that little setup that came through from Penn State on that offense, is they just pushed inside escalators and they just waited. Maybe they could have caught a Concord Maroon member trying to lurk through checkers, if not trying to look for gold alleyway control, and it absolutely comes through in by way of Penn State finding all the kills needed before pushing over towards the A side, and was also executed just so wonderfully. Concord Maroon now looking to bounce things back after 2 rounds were just taken away from them. 3 players will bulldoze their way over towards the A side.
This time, it's not going to be anything short of once again, an aggressive push. Crook this time, even though he is going to be playing passive here, his teammates are just stunning, nading, throwing everything, including the kitchen sink out the window over towards this site. And as a 2 versus 2 now ensues, Crook will get the bomb down. He'll plant it over towards this A site. His teammates there with him, and now it's going to be a pinch play from Penn State.
Crook first gunfight. It's going to be Shades inside the escalators. They will get that kill. Both players looking around the pillar side and inside of green. Taze sees his shoulder being thrown. Is good to slide to be able to find the first kill. 26 HP. There's 25 seconds left to play. Wise enough, resets the gunfight. Red Chase also keeping their distance, knowing they have an AR and to check the bomb soon.
Sneaky runs around the right side, but Taze is going to be able to clutch up and get him. 6 streak for Taze. He saw the player's position over towards the docks when he gave it up, trying to find the trade onto his player's team. Oh, that is great stuff right there from Taze. Makes that early rotation back. Unfortunately, he didn't get that timing there that he needed over towards Eskies, but maybe the timing did work out in his favor in a different way as he was able to slide around that corner and find the kill. Again, just great trades back and forth from both of these 2 teams, and at the very end of the round, even though it didn't work out well for them at the very beginning, Penn State was able to bounce back once again. And again, like I said beforehand, Concord Maroon is not the team that we are, the most enthralled with in search and destroy for, their savvy and envy inside of it. So as we look forward to the rest of this map here, but Penn State being up 3-1, although it is possible for Concord Maroon to come back. If you're a Penn State fan, you have to be loving this right now, especially with Taze being, after going 0-1, now at 6-1 on a 6 streak here in the search and destroy.
Yeah, they're still living their second life here from the second round, and inside round number 5 for an offense for Penn State. Don't fix what ain't broke, I guess, but it's not going to be an AS&D hit. They're actually going to be playing passively, not inside the escalators this time around McCormill. You got the bomb being carried by Senso, who's just hugging the L side, and you have Ken watching the AS&D, while Taze is going to be hoping that a player from Concord Maroon just forced their way through checkers.
Slow on the defensive side this time for Concord Maroon. Last time they got a little bit over-aggressive. It led to their demise on the defensive side. Penn State have won 2 defenses in a row. Can they go ahead and make it 2 offenses in a row? Senso with bomb, they're both going to be playing extremely passive here on this offensive and defensive play for relatively both of these 2 teams. You see player number 7 just looking in towards middle map to maybe find some early intel in the round, or well, I say early, but 50 seconds have already ticked off the clock and no push has been made yet. So, Penn State, even though they do have the momentum here, it does look like they are going to be playing a little bit maybe too passive, as it is going to be Crook who comes around the corner. Senso going to be looking for this player eventually, but potentially going to get the bomb down. I'm not exactly sure what he's going to be looking for, but his Red Chase over towards the right gets killed. Crook's going to fly around the corner and find his trade, so it's going to be a 3v2 with 20 seconds left.
Trauma finds another one. That's on the shades. That's over by the cutout wall. Now Taze left in a very tough spot. Throws a bow. That's going to be one player inside of green. There's the Semtex as well, but not exactly in a favorable spot. No time to plant the bomb here. We're finding these 2 kills. Trauma takes the challenge, though, and, well, you got to think. Oh, man, it would have been a world right there that both of them ended up taking that gunfight. Maybe both of them go down. But Concord Maroon, they stopped the bleeding here, and it was a really tough spot for Penn State. Again, Ken, who tried to push that heady over by the planter box, really thought they had an easy kill from an escaping member of Concord Maroon over by the pillars side. But just a quick little trade comes on through. A player just playing on top of that box on the offensive side over by the S&D site. Means for a very easy go of things. Penn State White waiting a little bit too long maybe to make a play, but nevertheless, Concord Maroon looking to make this a very competitive search.
Doesn't look like either of these two teams are quite confident enough yet in their setups to go ahead and wrap over towards that B site, and you do see a 2-1-1 setup for the side of Penn State on the defensive side, and that's what I mean by that is 2 players over towards A, 1 in middle, and then 1 over towards B, and now they have the wrap over towards back around the map side and through middle map. 2 versus 2 as a huge 2-piece comes out there from Ken, but look at Taze, who is still on an 8 spree. Did not die in that last round as he was trying to clutch it up for the rest of his team, but Caster's Curse comes through. He does fall, so Shade's now in a 1 versus 2 to try and avenge his teammate. Red Chase going to get some shots onto him. That's rather unfortunate for him as the player now starts to push through. It's going to be Crook who finds that final kill. That's going to be Conquer Maroon winning 2 rounds back to back. And, well, both of those rounds I think were faster combined than the one round that we saw previous to this one, where it took 50 seconds for either team to even push up past 50% of the map.
This spot right here, where even the play of the game is, or play of the round rather, is just cursed for Penn State. For 2 rounds in a row, 2 different players think that they have a very easy kill. It just does not come to light. Would have been a whole lot easier for that 1v2 turning into a 1v1 now, wouldn't it? But it's, yeah, tough spot, to say the least. 2 rounds going back and forth between Penn State winning the previous 3 to the 2 that Concord Maroon just won in sequence. And they're just playing for trades. And they're not doing anything too crazy. They're just hitting sites together, offense and defensive like, just, again, playing for the trades, which is a core fundamental for Search and Destroy. But Shades, over by the gold alleyway, is going to reveal their position. Almost ended up taking down Crook, who was trying to get a little antsy for a kill.
Yeah, I'm glad that they're starting to push up here over towards this A site, realizing that our 2 are in middle map, so they should have at least known that there would probably 1 over towards B Street, or maybe figured there'd be 2 over towards this A site, but as the kills come through, Cook is going to be able to find 1. I'm not sure what exactly Ken was doing in that situation, knowing that his teammate had just called the player out towards the bottom docks, but as Sento breaks the glass, Crook should be able to call that one out to his teammates as well, so looking over towards the right side here, it's going to be a one-on-one gunfight with 2 players now pushing through the back. They should be able to spot him here inside of maps in just a moment if they do decide to push, but I love the play between all 3 of these Conquered Maroon players as they all push, suffocate this player into the maps. They knew his position. They were able to call out that if either A, he pushed over towards that Eski side, or if he wrapped all the way back through the spawn. They had every single lane that he was going to be able to get out of, cut off, and again, just clinical search and destroy gameplay from the side of Conquered Maroon. 3 rounds in a row for them after the side of Penn State was able to win 3 in a row. I hate to say it, but I really hope I didn't curse them saying that they were looking really good early on here.
10-4 for Crook, 3 straight through a few previous rounds. Really, again, I mean, Crook's just been on another level. Had a great garrison hardpoint for Concord Maroon, and as was the sole SMG at that point in time, is just looking to keep up the pressure here. Bomb being carried by Crook. Sees that Shades is a little further away. Opening shot's not going to be good. It's going to hit a couple bows, but Crook is actually potentially looking to hit this with their teammate right behind him.
Did you see how fast Shades ran away from that on the boulevard
I want
side?
none of that.
He saw 2 players middle, and he slid canceled all the way to the back in a matter of 5 seconds. He was out of there, but that was Red Chase is starting to push up through the back. Crook is going to fall, and Red Chase will fall as well, so Shades backs off for good reason. The rest of his teammates over towards that B site, and maybe the side of Concord Maroon wasn't so confident in their push over towards B for a reason. I mean, if they do get that first pack, oh my goodness, Trauma, you got to hit those shots there, buddy, but he now is, he leaves them traumatized on the battlefield. Megatron will step up to the plate, but will be shut down instantaneously. Penn State win another round. Basically flawless throughout the entirety of it. And again, we see Shades here. I mean, what a snapper.
I mean, just to be nitpicky, do you really need to push that all the way through Concord Maroon? Especially for your bomb carrier being Crook, could have just gone inside the BS&D house and could have just held that lane for Boulevard just to try to get control of that BS&D site for the plant. Would have been all the more smarter, I suppose, but they were looking for the entire hit on the backside. Maybe you already assumed that it was just one of Shades back there, but little bit too much heat to handle back there as the bomb was also dropped in a very precarious position. So round number 9 finds ourselves the Penn State offense looking to win a couple more rounds and put themselves up map point to tie it up one apiece. Looking like an A hit here. Got to be wary because you do have player number 8 on the mini map. Is Crook. They're on the bottom side of escalators.
And they got that, luckily, for the information through middle map from player number 3 in Shade. So as they are going to be looking around towards this A side, again, just unfortunate timing for the side of Penn State, as it was Concord Maroon who got unfortunate thumbing in the last round. But, a 4 versus 2, they don't have bomb yet, able to pick them. And, I mean, look at player number 8, looking over towards the back flank over from the BS and D site. Then you got player number 7 in middle map looking for the push through gold. Player number 5 looking at the Eskies push, and player number 6 over towards the dock side. I believe they do potentially know that the bomb is down as well. So all these players have just, again, a perfect setup on the side of Concord Maroon. They've consistently been able to do this every single round of Search and Destroy, put themselves in prime positions when they have the numbers advantage to go ahead and find those last 2 kills, especially on the defensive side where they can play much more passively.
You just don't need to overextend here if you're Concord Maroon. The pinch is coming through. You got Trauma and Crook. The timing and the conversation is clearly a good one for Concord Maroon if the pinch is coming through, but you can't just reveal yourself like that. Just wait for the push to come on through. Luckily enough for Red Chase on the opposing side, inside green is going to be able to find the kill. So the pinch wasn't even totally necessary, but that almost got pretty scary, especially being able to overwhelm and at least finding Megatron over by the AS&D as it may be. But Red Chase, again, just with the Krig 6, going to be able to clean up the last 2 kills. Had they been taken down Red Chase and put that into a 2v2 and then the bomb got planted at A, McCormick, we potentially would have been looking at an entirely different round. But luckily enough for Concord Maroon, Red Chase, again, got to be a big fan of this kid. Fired up on all cylinders at the end of last season and is looking to do the same thing here in Cold War.
And what I love about 4v4 is the clutch factor that is available in the 1 versus 4s, and instead of it being 1 versus 5 scenarios now. And as we look on the minimap and we see this push here from the side of Concord Maroon, it is going to be 3 players over towards the A side. Red Chase wins a huge one-on-one over towards B because that allows him to have the entirety of the B street locked down. Player number 1's going to try and rotate over here. That's going to be tased in the window, but he'll go ahead and wisely challenge back with the rest of his team. Although he doesn't know the exact locations of the Concord Maroon players, he feels like he probably would have spotted them out if he did go to that window if they were pushing on through. So there are going to be multiple players here. Somehow the Senso doesn't go down there, but as 2 kills come through, it's going to be a 1 versus 3 at the very end. Concord Maroon wins 6-4 in the Search and Destroy. Proper after being down 3-1 here inside of the Search and Destroy. They take it, and they can now go up to match point here inside of the best of 5 series. 2-0, Concord Maroon.
Yeah, I mean, Penn State, again, like you were talking about, that was a fantastic hold that they held over top of Concord Maroon. But Concord Maroon, again, adaptations and being able to read their opponents, that was some of their biggest wow factors for their Search and Destroy at the end of the Modern Warfare season. And these 4 players are able to do it just as good as any other inside of the CCL this season, being able to set themselves up with success and looking like a pretty strong regular season for Concord Maroon, given that checkmate control is on the horizon for us, McCormick. And if there's one thing that we know about this Concord Maroon squad coming off the kickoff tournament, their respawn, pretty darn good.
Oh, it is pretty darn good, Proper. Folks, we're going to send it to a quick break. When we come back, potentially the the series closer between both of these 2 teams. Concord Maroon looking extremely good after that Search and Destroy win, up 2-0 in the series. Checkmate control coming up after this. I'm McCormick. That's Proper Cast. We'll be back here in just a moment. Hello, folks. Welcome back to day 2 of week 1 of the CCL season 3. My name is McCormick. Alongside me is Proper Cast. And as we get ready to go into our checkmate control, we first got to look back at the series and see where we were beforehand. Starting off with our Garrison hardpoint, it was a 250-153 victory for the side of Concord Maroon. That started off relatively close throughout the basically halfway point of that map, and then all of a sudden Concord Maroon hit themselves in stride and were able to take that to the moon essentially there by basically outscoring the side of Penn State by relatively around 100 points. Then in the Search and Destroy on Moscow, we saw the side of Concord Maroon down 3-1, come back and win 3 rounds in a row themselves, and then made it 6-4 there at the end to take a 2-0 series lead. Proper, that leads us into the checkmate control, a potential closer to this series. What are we going to be looking for in terms of a little bit of map breakdown and analysis from the best man but in Call of Duty?
Well, I mean, the broken down plan ain't going to the moon anytime soon here, McCormick. And if you got good stonks inside this match, you might as well give it all towards Concord Maroon, because if there's one thing that we saw within the end of the first set of hills and all the way through towards the tail end of that Moscow Search and Destroy, Crook has snapped, and so is Red Chase. And ahead of a checkmate control where you could have a submachine gun of Crook's caliber, especially being looking for map control alone, look no further because Crook's probably going to be looking for that middle plane control, offense and defense alike, plus all the open lanes of checkmate control are very AR dependent, of which all three of them, that was the setup that Concord Maroon had on Garrison Hardpoint, were absolutely electric.
Top lane for both of these two teams. I got a 2 versus 2 up and towards the top here. Now make it a 3 versus 2 for the side of Concord Maroon as one player's out towards that right plane wing. And as Megatron pushes through, the Semtex will kill one, but the trade will come through in a technical sense of it. As Concord Maroon does have this top plane control for now. The good news here is on the offensive side, they have a potential to spawn Penn State all the way in their backside in a spawn trap-like sense because of the fact that they want to get up onto this A site. And, well, with kills like that from Shades there getting a 2-piece, it doesn't look like that is going to be relatively possible for the side of Concord Maroon as they just completely shut down that initial push.
Absolutely will be the case here. 20 respawns to the 21. It's not too far out of here if you are Concord Maroon. Just got to be wary of when you are working out of your spawn. And I like how passively Concord Maroon are working their way. They don't know these angles that Penn State could be located in. That's going to be Shades on board with them, is already in the back. But Concord Maroon, again, just bowling their way through the plane. But the off angles are just going to be a little bit too much to bear, and it's very hard to be able to take an offensive zone if you don't have sufficient numbers and you have players just trying to gun you off of your spawn. Luckily enough for Concord Maroon, they're able to find a couple of the kills coming off the north wing, have some A-zone presence here with Crook, trying to find some spawn kills of their own, make things a little bit easier for them to stop the clock, which they do, and work out of their spawn.
Well, big news here for the side of Concord Maroon is that they are going to be able to most likely get this first tick over towards A before the contestation can come through from the side of Penn State. And with Penn State trying to grab as much top plane control as they are, they really haven't sent many bodies over towards this A site for the control point. So as this thing continues to tick through, they will have 2 ticks of completion. At this point now, Penn State basically are just going to have to chalk this one up to the wayside because of how long it took for them to go ahead and really push back on over towards this point. But as I say that, the contestation comes through, the kills come through, and more importantly, Penn State holds on without A-zone being completed. 18 seconds left in the round here. 2 lives separate these two teams.
They might just have to desperation push over towards the B zone to keep the clock stalled out so that way reinforcements can then come help you out. Crook Trauma able to find 2, but that's then Trauma going down over by the belly of the plane. And I mean, Concord Maroon, 4.8 seconds is where the clock's going to get stalled out, but this is your last little effort here. Taze is going to be close to try to contest this from the side and then down the lane. Megatron not going to be able to find the shots needed. Penn State so close to closing out this round, and a good couple kills might come through. Just Crook, last attempt to be able to keep this in Concord's favor.
Oh, you would have loved to see that player from the side of Concord Maroon not jump out too aggressively there early on before the teammate was able to go ahead and find himself with a little bit of reinforcement towards the side. And again, like you said beforehand, it's a little bit nitpicky in that regard, just for the sheer fact that you have no idea where the side of Penn State could be playing in middle map, whether it's top plane, bottom plane, 2 players pushing up through that concrete side over towards that P4 where A site is here in control. But Concord Maroon, they looked good at the very beginning there. They got a first set of wave kills on the side of Penn State, but then Penn State was able to bounce back, mostly here highlighting player number 5 in Shades. 9-4 here to start things off, tying up things with Crooked on the other side at 9-4 as well.
2 players, 7 and 8. Gonna be Senso and Ken. Gonna be looking for this plane control. 3 players are actually here defensively for Concord Maroon, and while you have that happening, Penn State, both Shades and Taze are gonna be looking for this A zone. They need to happen in tandem of one another. And Senso probably understanding that there could be a player that hits it underneath, but it's Concord Maroon that actually hit the gas first, but they don't come up on the gunfight.
Senso somehow escapes with his life. Oh my goodness, he goes up top on the low. Did you see how much savvy and technicality went into that play? Jumped down onto the ladder, crawled back up, double smacked him right in the jaw, and that was oh my goodness. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. That looked like some American Ninja Warrior type stuff right there, and I'm all here for it.
Well, it's going to initially be what you would thought was Penn State White's control over through this plane, but even Concord Maroon losing their lives, they're able to work their way back through and towards a lane to where they can see that A zone. 42 seconds remaining on the clock. 2 more respawns do Concord Maroon have over their adversaries of Penn State University. But again, looking for this plane control, and they really want to be getting through the middle of the map before they confidently push over towards the A zone. But Concord Maroon, they got the setup. They got the angles held. 25 seconds remaining.
From behind, They've got control over towards B. Shades, though, coming through the back is going to be having a huge one-on-one against Trauma right there. And not only does that basically send Penn State back to the respawn block, that also gives up a lot of right side map control over towards that B side where the box head glitch is near Tetris. So over towards bottom middle, it's still going to be the side of Penn State playing this bottom plane area. Penn State needs to get inside of the point now, though. Senso is going to be able to fly up. Shades will get cut down there from Crook, and nobody going to be able to contest except one player over towards A. But as the cut down comes through, Conquered Maroon will take their first round here inside of the control, and we'll tie things up 1-1 here as we get ready for round number 3 and another defensive side of Penn State.
Yeah, defense for defense so far, and I guess if you want to wag your finger at any sort of advantage as far as offense is concerned, I mean, Concord Maroon were able to get one more tick over towards their adversaries of PSU. But you know what? Can't really let that be the end of it. Control is just a hyper extension of search and destroy where you have to adapt, and you have to do it in such a short amount of time given when you do trade back and forth. Crook's at 15-7, by the way. 9 objective kills. That's quite impressive. But again, they are absolutely twisted on the sticks, it seems, for Cold War. But Penn State are able to answer back in kind, especially when they don't allow Concord Maroon to get too comfortable and dictate the pace of all these gunfights. Looking for Concord Maroon to be able to find some early engagements here so that way they can control of the middle of the map on their offense.
2 big first kills there for the side of Penn State, but as 4 go down thanks to a team kill from Crooked on to Trauma, it is now going to be time for the Spawn Trap City to come through from the side of Penn State. They've got one in the back in Crook. Now the power positions are being set up. The M4 is out. Another one comes here through for Taze. He's on a 2 streak. Can he look for more? The Semtex will get him just a bit weak. This trophy system will be inside as well, and now he's just waiting for his teammates to go ahead and help him with the push setup here. Crook will be able to finally find Taze out of the spawn, but now this is going to force the side of Concord Maroon to have to look for all these Penn State players in towards their back spawn side in order just to move around the map a little bit. But oh my goodness, Trauma put Sento down where he stands, brother. We'll see on the respawn.
Well, Senso actually almost ended up finding that kill, too, and you still have Shades going rogue and towards the back. Crook, good for 2, 74U. And now you're looking towards this B zone as far as the ticket progress, but not to mention how the clock has been stopped out. And you have Concord Maroon finding kills. Red Chase and Trauma, they ended up finding 2 as well. And now when you have Red Chase and Crook moving off from that yellow cargo container, they're going to split the focus over towards A, and you have Trauma going rogue towards the spawns of Penn State.
Yeah, I think you pointed that out perfectly. Trauma is making a huge hero play over towards this P5 side because he is looking for a couple of players from the side of Penn State to be pushing out, but this is allowing his teammates, if they choose to push over towards B and not have any contention or any type of force from Penn State to push out towards them. Ken's going to fly down. 1 kill needs picked up there with the Craig, but that is not going to matter. 4 go down for Penn State. 2 ticks of progress over towards A. They're looking for that final little bit. Player number 1 in Red Chase will help his teammate over towards A. Find that last couple of progress over towards A. That'll put an extra minute on the clock, and they're already up by 6 respawns now over the side of Penn State. Penn State wavering here on the defensive side.
And while that was happening, Megatron, heads up play for them, goes towards B. They get that second tick of progress, which was just about a pixel and a half away from completing from the previous attempt that Concord Maroon had put over towards this side of the map. So now they're just 1 tick away, a minute 25 left. They have double the amount of respawns over Penn State. This could be an offensive round, Will, but you got to get the gunfights. Taze and Senso able to find 2, so Concord Maroon now have to regain themselves before working their way through the belly of the plane.
Well, we saw Penn State spawn trap the side of Concord Maroon beforehand. They were able to get outside of it, but now what was a 6 life advantage for Concord Maroon has shrunk down to now just a lonely and measly 2 kills. And Ascento and the rest of the team now have top plane and bottom plane control for their side of things. They can go ahead and potentially bring this down all the way to potential tie game in terms of life count for both of these 2 teams. So now still 5-3. Penn State going to still have mid-map control, at least a 50% control of the map. Concord Maroon looking to play around together, and I'm loving all the pressure that they're sending at the same time. We talked about in the hard point in the search and destroy how much of a cohesive unit they are, and as Crook finds 2 up and towards the top plane, he'll be looking for the rest of his teammates to push over towards B. Now they've got to go. Trauma will find one over towards the AS&D site, and that is going to basically allow everybody from Concord Maroon to stack the point. No one left for Penn State. Concord Maroon takes a decisive offensive round, puts Penn State down where they stand, and now put them on series point here with just 1 more round win needed to win this best of 5.
And you called it so well there, McCornmeal. Again, you want to be able to find those kills, and the life count for Penn State got so close to being even towards Concord Maroon. Concord Maroon had to slow it down. They had to play for the opening kill so that way they can then work through the plane. Crook work the pinch over by the wing, and you had Trauma looking down that north lane. Wonderfully executed. Instead of getting gunned off their spawn, you found those rogue players for Penn State. You got the one good kill feed that you needed, and then you were able to get yourself on that B zone. Just so well done for Concord after getting that A zone in their favor. So now a much-needed offense win for Penn State. Not to even stay alive inside the control, but just to stay alive in the series.
And it's going to be hard here on the offensive side. Again, we saw how hard Concord Maroon had to fight to just get one offensive round away here from the side of Penn State. They've got to do the exact same thing now against the Concord Maroon squadron that just completely flipped the script, turned things around, and completely started to heat up. 25 and 14, now 26 and 14 for Crook Dizzy finds one before the trade comes through. Progress is going to be had just a bit here, and it should be at least one tick of progress before the side of Concord Maroon can even think about contesting.
Could just be the second, the way that they're stacking this. Well, Crook's going to be the first one to try to contest this. He's able to find Shades. A prone Crook will be traded out, however. And the second tick of progress, not fully gained, is now going to get depleted after Megatron had been able to get the last player of Penn State off of this zone. But a lot of time has been exhausted. A lot of kills have been found for Penn State. Look, they're just about 5 ahead of where Concord Maroon are standing. So you're going to need some big gunfights. You're going to need some heroic moments. And Megatron not going to find it there.
That was huge. 2 ticks of progress over towards A. It looks like Concord Maroon will just go ahead and chalk up the A site to go ahead and rotate over towards B and focus all of their attention there. An extra minute on the clock. Concord Maroon now down by 5 lives. This is similar to where Penn State had them the last time when they were in that spawn trap, and then Concord Maroon were not able to only break out of it, but go ahead and capture both the A and the B zones while they were on the offensive side of things. So a little bit different here. Megatron still wreaking havoc over towards the S&D side. However, it is going to be Shades who does get themselves a little bit of map control over towards the north side, but 2 players up and towards top lane for the side of Penn State could spell trouble, could be the difference maker here inside of the round. We'll just have to wait and see how the kill feed goes.
That was a big gunfight for Shades underneath the plane. Takes down Trauma. The Krieg 6, no less. But here comes Crooked. Gonna be looking for a snap turn. Gonna be Shades that has the better gunny up in time. Trauma looking for a trade, though. B zone has started its progress, so clock has been stalled out. Just about 1 minute and 15 left, though. And Penn State, I mean, you just kind of want to slow things up here. You got the time. You got a 3 respawn advantage. Just one good gunfight is all you really need. But they're just trying to answer as soon as they come off the spawn and in towards the advantage. Concord Maroon have them in their crosshairs.
Shades almost able to get Trauma and dumped up over towards the top right crate, but now it is going to be Concord Maroon who go ahead and find 3 down, make it a 4th as well. So back all the way into their spawn. Penn State now only separated by 1 respawn, now make it 2. Concord Maroon have gotten themselves the advantage, climb their way back into this one on the defensive side of things after the A site was controlled. 40 seconds left, just a couple of lives remaining now for Penn State with 35 seconds. They've got to get somewhere. They've got to get out of their spawn, most importantly, and they've got to make sure that they can find Andrew Crooked in the back here, which they have not been able to do all game. Oh my God! Put them down where they stand. 3 get killed, 4 go down for Penn State. 34 and 17 on a 5 streak will finally find his demise. But my God, Andrew Crooked, show him how it's done, baby.
That is shit. That's an illegal move. You can't let that happen. 34 and 18 for Crook. 8 seconds remaining. Penn State, they got a touch here, and they're down to their last 3 lives. Big 2 kills do come through, but now in a 2v whatever situation it may be, Ken just trying to do it all on the side. Crook, the Diamati's going to get the last kill. But my goodness, McCormiel, Andrew Crook, I don't know what you had for dinner this time around here, good man, but dear Christ, would I like some. That is absolutely insane to be able to go rogue, to keep your life for that long, to have all these gunfights in your favor. Some came from bullets being shot in the back of Penn State, some of them just up close and doubling on down. But my God, what a definitive closeout of that series by Concord Maroon.
I mean, at the very end there, with those last 3 kills proper, was that for the 40 bomb inside of that?
I think that he only dropped like maybe 38, 39. Well,
38, 39? Okay, well,
yeah.
Either way. I mean,
still impressive.
No, I mean, that's what, on a checkmate for control, you're
but you
dropping
could have done better.
40 EKIA. You could have done better, that's right. Well, Proper, I feel like he's going to be tweeting you after this of what he had for dinner tonight, because it seems like to be a little common theme between the both of you. But folks, what a series for Concord Maroon. They take down Penn State in the 3-0 hot series sweep after taking Garrison 250 to 135. Excuse me, 153. Moscow S&D 6-4, and checkmate control there 3-1. They don't need any explanation anymore, and they shouldn't need an explanation before this series even started. Concord Maroon are here to play. They take a decisive map win. They take a decisive series win. I believe that improves them to 2-0.
Yeah, and again, I mean, Penn State University, this is only the first week, keep in mind you. So
Hmm.
they're very much so in a group where they can still find themselves a decent amount of wins to be able to be up in that upper part of split number one, which is where you want to end up being. Concord Maroon, nobody's surprised, still very dominant through the regular season. But I mean,
Hmm.
Penn State University, they have something really good to back themselves up on, and that's Shades, a very strong AR play. It's just got to be down to the SMGs to be able to keep up with the pace. Just look at what Crooked was able to do single handedly with a solo SMG in
Yeah.
hand. That if you are running multiple SMGs like what we saw from Penn State, you're almost going to have to be able to have that potential to be able to control and dictate the pace for the rest of the match. But it's not going to be the case here, not against this fiery red hot Mountain Lions Concord Maroon roster. They absolutely fearsome quad, might I add, and we'll probably
Hmm.
end up continuing to have this play out for us many weeks to come.
Yeah, well, proper. One more time, we'll recap the day that we saw here on the Alpha stream. Ohio State University was able to take down Liberty U 3-1 in their first series of the day here on the Alpha stream. Second match, UTK Orange 3-0 the side of Mississippi State Maroon, and of course here it is the side of Concord Maroon, who took a 3-0 sweep over the side of Penn State. Folks, that's going to do it for us here on the Alpha stream. We're going to kick it over to the Bravo stream here as well with a hot host. They're going to be finishing out their matches here for week number one, but that is going to do it for week number one here on the Alpha stream. My name is McCoy Mill. That's Proper Cast, folks. We'll see you here next week, February 8th. That's going to be Monday of next week for the continuation of week two in CCL season 3. Folks, have a great night. We'll see you on the Bravo stream.